When we came across to the Buddhist teaching, we start with faith. But with faith, it comes doubt. We're looking for information, we're reading, we are questioning, we are approaching other people, monks, and other materials. And we're also looking for motivation. So, seeking for motivation, something that inspires us, some teachings, some presence of another monks, is has of course its own place. But just seeking some things there over in the world that could motivate us and inspire, it's not enough. We might actually just end up with some disappointments. If we're just looking for some refuge over there, then of course we get upset when that teaching does not fulfill our expectation, or that person, that monk, does not fulfill our expectation, and then we get disillusioned. We go away and we don't try again. So, in Buddhist practice, we have to find strength in ourselves, not rely on external refuges, but we have to rely on our own strength. So it does start with faith. Faith is an important first step. But if we just see faith as a goal and we don't improve, then we are stuck. We are stuck because faith is not enough. Faith is the foundation, but not the goal. Yes, we do have two kinds of characters. One who is liberated and awakened by faith, and other by wisdom. But it doesn't mean that faith in itself can just liberate us. People who have a great faith, they will just do what has to be done. So it still requires an internal effort and persistence and patience and wisdom. So just relying on faith will not actually liberate us. But people who are actually wisdom characters, they have faith, but less a degree. So the difference is that those who are liberated by wisdom, they basically have to question a lot. They don't go immediately. They don't immediately just hold the words of the teaching, but they have to first question it. So faith is on place, and somebody has great faith. That's a great virtue. That's a great strength, because that person can actually just go ahead and do what has to be done. But it will be quite wrong and quite dangerous just to have faith and just worship, just for seeking some kind of external motivation, or just doing some praising and doing some ritual will not do anything good in the practice. So what we have to have in present is not to rely on others, on just seeking for some external motivation and hoping that that is going to guide us. But we still need some kind of kick, don't we? But the kick is not faith, it's not motivation, but sense of urgency. Sense and urgency means, in the sense, to recognize how everything is conditioned, how everything is determined, that nothing exists on its own, not even me, myself, and anything what I think is of mine. So imagine death. When death is approaching, there's no way you can escape it. It is coming from all directions. It is going to happen. It is here. So death is something which is here, is a constant presence, because we are living in the world that is given to us. It's like we are already in the situation. We didn't choose to be born. It is here. And that's why also death is here. Let me give a simile. Let's say we get a headache. We know how to run away from it. We're going for some medicines. If we hear abusive words, and if don't patient with it, we know how to do. We also try to get rid of it, and we go away. Lot of discomforts we know how to get away from. What about if there's tsunami and we are running away from it? Still, we might die, but we don't run towards tsunami, but away from it. So we run. And now imagine a different situation. You are in the square, and all these four walls, high walls, or let's say high mountains, are slowly approaching you from all four directions. You see them all. From all four directions are coming towards you, and you know you cannot escape. You cannot go to the ground, not north, not west, not south, not east. You cannot climb, it is too high. Death is guaranteed. When in this situation, you know nobody can help. No other people who are around you can actually save you. You can cry, but nobody can help you. So that's contemplation of death, which is present. So we are actually in that situation. We are in the square, and the four mountains are right now approaching. They are here. We're living in that cube. We are living within it. And with that one, we are making meaning of life, creating life, being architect of things. We delight in things. We're angry, upset, desirous, lazy, all kinds of stuff within that cube. And the walls are approaching. Yes, we are quite aware to some degree that this is the case. Because if it wouldn't be the case, then we wouldn't run away from things and look for distractions. So we always have to go to some entertainment, we have to go to cinema, we have to watch TV, we have to listen to music, go for ice cream, eat a lot, sleep a lot. Why? Because we're looking for pleasant things, right? And we wouldn't look for pleasant things if we're not avoiding some kind of unpleasant reality. So now imagine going to the empty hut, being alone without any distractions. What happens then? We must act. We must do something. We feel like we're getting mad, or we feel like we are dying. Something is like choking us. So why is that? So you see, we always act because of that reality. We are acting to distract ourselves from the knowledge, from recognition, that there are four mountains approaching us. We are kind of deeply in ourselves, kind of subconsciously, if I may say so, recognize that actually our existence is not reliable, is not a refuge, and we don't really have control over it. But we cannot admit it. We can't accept it. And we're testing our control over and over again. We want to be master. We want to create. We want to control. Because that makes me to be. Makes me to feel that as I'm existing. Sure, we can indulge in these illusions, in that internal stories. But at those four mountains, they don't really care about it. They don't know anything about what we're thinking. It's going to squash us. Definitely. So when we realize that, when we are transparent and also recognize why we are running away from things, why we're acting the way we do, then we actually start some kind of opening. That's sense of urgency I'm talking about. Sense of urgency that actually is required before we actually practice the Buddha's teaching. If you're just practicing the Buddha's teaching just for the sake of feeling good about it, to find some kind of meaning of life, just to be feeling fulfilled, then we're holding the Buddha's teaching the wrong way. Buddha said that his teaching wrongly grasped can bring danger. As a kusa grass, wrongly grasped, only cuts the hand, he said. So we're using the Buddha's teaching for some kind of self-benefits in the sense of indulging in the world, then we're in a great danger. It's not going to help us at all. And when we have this sense of urgency, then we can really approach the Buddha's teaching. We don't need external motivation and great speakers and listening to many teachings, because now we know that we have to do something about it. And then we start looking for the problem in the proper way, not looking for some kind of intellectual informations, but wisdom which helps us to recognize the situation where we are in. Because, like I said, these death, those mountains are present as a context or situation. Now we have to learn something about this context and situation. We have to learn about that assumption that self exists without anything else, that can be independent, that we actually stop indulging in these illusions. So mountains which are crushing towards us are not bad. They are not suffering. But our assumptions, our illusions, our ignorance is making things to be painful and very fearful. It's not the mountains that are creating death. It's not the situation that's creating death. Death happens to one who thinks is born into this world and that actually is independent of anything else. Then death exists and it's scary. So you cannot escape from it by running to any kind of direction. You cannot escape by being spied by somebody. There's no any other refuge. Nobody can help you but yourself. By your knowledge, by your understanding of everything, understanding of that experience, of that and how that experience is structured by that situation and that context. That self does not exist on its own. So that's what the Buddha is teaching. And by this teaching, the Buddha also said we have to recognize that situation. That's why the Buddha's teaching cannot be mistaken, cannot be wrong. One who actually understands the Buddha's teaching, at least have a glimpse of it, cannot say, oh, the Buddha's teaching doesn't work for me. Because Buddha never promised anything in specific. He didn't promise some kind of awakening in the sense that you will experience some pleasures, divine pleasures, or some kind of peace that is dependent on external conditions. He didn't even promise you anything of what you can get. That's not a Buddha's promise. But with searching things continuously and recognizing the situation we are in, there cannot be any failure. There's no way that one can say that there is a weakness in the teaching. So, when you're actually recognizing, have enough discernment, enough of self-transparency, and enough of strength, and enough of faith to start the practice, then it's promised that actually you recognize what those four mountains are, and what makes you to be within that cube. When you recognize that, then you completely let go. And when we are making the right effort, it's like we're putting everything to it. It's not just like a part-time job, but actually we are trying to recognize things as they really are continuously. We don't want to surrender. And I like to read, for the end, actually a bit longer sutta, is the verses from Sutta Nipata, which is the dialogue between the Buddha and Mara. Mara is the evil one, the one who is actually, well, evil one more in the eye of the Buddha. But usually common people, we think of Mara being a very friendly and gentleman who likes to care for us. So we can't really say he's the evil one, because Mara usually say, oh, take it easy, relax, sleep a lot, eat a lot, indulge in sensual pleasures. Life is short. Make most of it. That's usually what a Mara says. But Buddha is not fooled by Mara, and he calls it a evil one. So when the Buddha was practicing, he said, when resolved upon striving, I have gone to Niranjara river. As I was meditating very strenuously to attain security from bondage, Namuchi, or Mara, approached me. Speaking compassionate words, Mara said, "You are thin, pale, you are on the verge of death. 1,000 parts belong to death, one fraction of your life remains. Live, sir. Life is better. While living, make merits. While you are living the spiritual life and perform the 5 sacrifices, a beauty and merit is stored up. Why devote yourself to striving? Hard to travel is a path of striving, hard to practice, hard to achieve." Speaking these verses, Mara stood in the presence of the Buddha. When Mara had spoken in such a way, the Blessed One said to him, "Kinsman of the heedless, evil one, you have come here with a purpose. I do not have any need even for the slightest merit. It is fitting for you, Mara, to speak to those who have need of merits. I have faith and energy too, and wisdom exists in me. When I am so resolute, why do you ask me to live? This wind might dry up even the streams of the rivers, so why, when I am resolute, should it not dry up my blood? When the blood is drying up, the bile and phlegm dry up. When my muscles are wasting away, my mind becomes even more serene, and my mindfulness and wisdom and concentration become more firm. While I am dwelling in such a way, I have experienced extreme pain. Yet, my mind does not turn to sensual pleasures. Behold the purity of the being. Sensual pleasures are your first army. The second is called discontent. Hunger and thirst are the third. The fourth is called craving. The fifth is dullness and drowsiness. The sixth is called cowardice. Doubt is your seventh. Your eighth designation and pride. Gain praise and honor and wrongly obtained fame is ninth. The 10th is when one exalts oneself and looks down on others. This is your army, Namuchi. The squadron of the Dark One. A weakling does not conquer it, but having conquered it, one gains bliss. I wear munja grass, or like, am I holding the white flag? Wretch will be life be to me. It's better that I die in battle than live on defeated. Some ascetics and Brahmins engulfed here are no longer seen. They do not know the path by which this disciplined one traveled. Having seen the bannered army all around, and Mara with his vehicle ready, I will go out to meet him in battle. May he not dislodge me from my place. Though the world with its devas cannot overcome that army of yours, I will destroy it with wisdom, like a fresh clay bowl with a stone. Having gained mastery over my intention, and with mindfulness well established, I will wander from run to run, guiding many disciples. Heedful and resolute, those practitioners of my teaching, against your wishes, we go to the state when one does not sorrow. And then the Mara says, for 7 years I followed the Blessed One, trailing him step by step, but I have not found an opening in the Enlightened One who is mindful. There was a crow that circled around a stone that looked like a lump of fat. Perhaps we find something tender here. Perhaps there may be something tasty. But finding nothing tasty there, the crow departed from that place. Just like the crow that attacked the stone, we leave Gautama disappointed. So much was he stricken with sorrow that his lute fell from his armpit. Thereupon that saddened spirit disappeared right on the spot.